Valley, low.
Well, I guess we don't know that.
Something like that.
I guess we don't know those words. Let's do every time. All right, cute little thing. Start of the podcast.
Here we go.
Here we go.
1, 2, 3.
All right, Chris, is the pharmacy closed?
It is. Let me. Wait.
It's
oh,
closed.
shoot. What is that? There we go.
It's closed.
Come on. Why are you too bright? No, we're going to get this right. Hold on.
Should we start over?
Bam.
Oh, there it is.
Pharmacy's closed, y'all.
Pharmacy is closed. Podcast is on.
Welcome to When the Pharmacy Closes.
Mm-hmm. We're your hosts.
Chris.
And I'm Clarissa.
So this episode, we thought it would kind of be fun to go into maybe like the daily life that we went through for our first year pharmacy school, because we know that the incoming class is about to start.
And I've already met one of the P1s. Shout out to him. I know he's a little bit worried, so that's why we thought we'd talk about our days.
I know a few incoming P1s as well. I've been helping her through like the application process and her registration and kind of like how to prepare. So, and the orientation starts next week.
Yeah, the orientation starts. It's
very
exciting. And I think we just want to share our experience with you guys because it was a pretty eventful year.
It was many emotions at once.
Many emotions.
It was scary, but it was fun.
Exciting, stressful. All of the above.
So much. Those first few weeks, what did you think?
Are we starting with orientation or are we just starting school?
I guess we can say orientation, but...
Because by the time orientation came around, I was already so busy because I was still on the dance team.
That's true.
So if you didn't know, those of you that don't know, I was on our university's dance team for 3 years, and during our P1 year, I was on the dance team for my very last year. Unfortunately, I decided that it was time to leave the team just because school was going to start getting harder this year. But I did have a good year. So starting that summer, we have this thing called band camp, which is 2 weeks of being out in the sun, working our butts off for football season, basically the rest of the season. And I had to miss majority of the camp. I think I only went to 2 practices.
Dang.
Yeah.
In the whole 2 weeks?
In the whole 2 weeks, because we had our orientation the same 2 weeks, and we had to be there
I remember
the 2 weeks. Yeah.
Because I remember the early days you would
leave
to go to camp.
Leave to go to practice, yeah. And by that time, I felt so bad because my teammates had already experienced like the workouts outside and practicing with the band outside. And by the time I got there, we were already inside practicing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being so stressed because I had to catch up on everything. And I remember being so afraid that everybody was going to think it was unfair that I was still allowed to come back. But that's where my stress began, at orientation.
And I had a completely different experience. So in terms of undergrad, wasn't in really many extracurriculars.
Mm-hmm.
So my summer consisted of just working full-time at the hospital. But since I'm PRN, I was able to tell them during those 2 weeks, I was able to block them off for orientation. So I told them like, I can't come in these 2 weeks. If I have time after, I'll come in for like a project shift and kind of help out the pharmacy, but I can't come in for a full shift. So they kind of respected that. They gave me the 2 weeks off, and I just came here for orientation, and that was kind of that.
Yeah. And I know orientation was where you start to get acquainted with all your fellow classmates. And I think I kind of went in expecting that we would make friends right away. And I know it was just me and you, like, for most of the time. And even after orientation, when school started, it was me and you for the longest time.
Oh, remember we just sat in the back table for a while?
Yeah, we sat in the back table, like just us two, because we've known each other since high school. So I think we just automatically feel comfortable with each other. And like I think it was the first half of the first semester, right?
For sure, yeah.
That we just hung out with each other. We would study with each other. We wouldn't really talk to anybody else. And not because we didn't want to talk to anybody else. I think we were just shy, scared.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of found someone. So you and I were lucky that we came in with somebody.
Yeah.
It made it easy coming into such a new environment, especially like, this professional program. already knowing someone. Like, you're going to go through it with a really good friend. And I think everyone kind of found someone those first few weeks and just stuck to them for those first few weeks in school until we all kind of started mingling.
Yeah, until we all felt or started feeling comfortable with each other, because I think all of us started to realize that we were going to see each other every day, so might as well just, start talking to each other. And I know me and Chris started to branch out one day with when we met Athena and Christy.
Our besties.
I don't even know how it happened, to be honest, or how they even started talking, Athena and Christy. They invited us
to lunch one day.
Yeah, they invited us to lunch one day. It was so random, right? We were just walking out of the building. I don't even know.
I think, you and I think we're going to go out because it was one of those days that I think we had Spanish later.
Oh, yeah, we had Spanish later.
And then they asked us, I think Athena asked us, she's like, hey, me and Christy are going to go to Olive Garden. Do you guys want to go?
And we said yes.
I still have the picture from that day.
Oh, yeah, me too, on my B-reel.
Yes.
And that's how we became friends with Christy and Athena. And ever since then, it's been us four. And we've adopted Amelia into our table as well. She's very friendly, very nice.
But that's to say that in orientation, you're going to think you don't know anybody. And you might not know anybody. But again, like we said, like, you guys realize you guys are stuck together for the next 4 years. In a good way. That sounds bad, but in a good way. And then you guys, like, you all start knowing each other.
Yeah. And it's okay to, like, branch out and try to talk to people. I know in the beginning, it feels like everybody's a little standoffish, but I think we're all scared and we're all nervous to meet new people and we're all nervous for the new experience. So just don't be worried if the first 2 weeks of orientation are not what you imagine them to be like. It's just you, like, getting acquainted, and then it's exciting because it leads up to your white coat ceremony. And I think the white coat ceremony for me was where it felt real, and I just, it was such an honor, I think.
And something to expect during your orientation weeks is that you're going to meet your ambassadors or your mentors. It's basically upperclassmen that are there to help you. All P1s are going to get one. And I know I'm going to be one, and I think it's next... What's today, the 8th? Today's Tuesday. So next Tuesday on the 15th, they're going to have all of the mentors come in to meet those that they're going to be helping out. So it's kind of very reminiscent of, like, our high school. Everybody knew everybody from all grade levels. And it's just because the pharmacy school itself, it's all contained in that building.
Yeah. And
then they're going to tell you this a million times. You're never going to hear the end of it. Pharmacy is a very small world. So
very small.
Like, you'll be like, oh, I'm working with this pharmacist. And then some instructor will be like, oh, yeah, like, I used to work with them in the past. And then another student will be like, I did a rotation with them.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
I guess now talking about, like, orientation and stuff, Chris, can you, like, take me through some of your day, like, your daily basis while in pharmacy school?
Shall I say?
A daily routine.
Like, once we kind of got it established?
Yeah, once we got it established, what was your daily routine like on a Monday through Friday basis, or if you just had one really busy day that you want to give an insight to?
So I had some priorities when it came into pharmacy school. I have always told myself school is a priority. So it took time to kind of get my family and friends to understand that. And I've told you this before, but a lot of people don't understand pharmacy school or med school or whatever school you want to put within that blank until they're in it, right? So a lot of, like, you would hear the excuse a lot of, like, we don't see you anymore and stuff, but it's like, we're under a lot that we have to do. So it's kind of like, I have to put school first.
Yeah.
So school was one of those priorities. I wanted to stay active. So I wanted to keep going to the gym, kind of having that active lifestyle. And then I still wanted to, in some way, prioritize a sort of work-life balance. So still have a social life.
Okay.
So I wanted to figure out, like, how can I still, like, go to the gym? I figured out for me what worked best was going before class.
He was crazy for that, guys. I don't know how he does it, but I'm going to try to do it this year, hopefully.
If you want a wake-up call, I will give you a wake-up call. But I warn you, I give you no mercy.
I know.
Like, I will call until you wake up and answer the phone.
I know. Anyways, tell us your morning routine then.
So the way it would normally happen is, for me, the latest I would go to bed was like 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
And I would wake up at about 4:30 in the morning, and I would make sure I was at the gym by 5. These were the days, so for context, these days were when we had class starting at 9 a.m. and I live far east side. So also I had to take into consideration traffic and stuff like that. So that's why I would go to the gym so early. I'd get there by 5, do my workout. It takes about an hour and a half maybe. Come back home, like shower, make breakfast, get ready, and I would be out of the house by 8. Give myself an hour to get to class.
Yeah.
Sorry. So those, even then, if I wanted to leave by 8, I didn't necessarily need to allocate that much time, but I don't like rushing in the morning.
Yeah.
Because if I'm rushing, I get stressed out. So I'm just like...
That's where we're opposite, because I'm always rushing in the morning.
Well,
but
yeah.
I'll tell you a little about that right now.
I forget things if I'm rushing. So get to class, go to class, right? I would even make lunch the night before, so I didn't have to worry about that in the morning. For a while, I stopped doing this, but for a while, I would set out my outfits the night before, just so anything I didn't have to worry about in the morning was more time I had to get ready and stuff. But by doing that, I made sure that after class, I was always available if we wanted to study. If maybe any of our upperclassmen were holding like tutoring sessions, I could go, or if I could help at work somehow, like on Fridays when I would work in the afternoon, I was available. So I could still be getting that exposure in the pharmacy, but also, still be making money, because unfortunately that is something we have to do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how my daily life would go.
And would you say, like, with your daily life that you had enough time to study? Because I know when I met that certain P1, he was very concerned about not having enough study time, especially having a job.
I think, so have a job, yes, but don't count on having a full-time job.
A full-time job. But you think that we could still work?
For sure, you can still work.
Depending on the person, right?
Right, yeah. I think it comes down to time management.
Yeah.
You have to figure out a schedule that works well for you. And even for me, I might be exposing myself, sorry, instructors. But in class, I would sometimes be studying for other classes. But, I mean, it's what worked for me.
Yeah. Well, I guess it is all about finding, like, what's best for you. Because I think no two people are, like, in pharmacy school. You can have similarities, but, like, whatever works for you is going to work for you,
How would your daily life go?
My daily life was crazy. I feel like my first year overall was just really wild, huh?
First year or first semester?
The whole first year, I feel like I was really busy.
Yeah, that's true. You did a lot, but you did really good with it. You held on.
Held on, for sure. I did have some breakdowns throughout the year, but so I would say my daily or weekly, because every day was different. So Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays were the same. And then Tuesday and Thursday, I had a little more time to relax, except when I got to spring semester, which is when basketball season started at school. So majority of the time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I would have practice in the morning with the dance team. So fall semester, it's obviously football season, volleyball season. And then in the spring, it was basketball season, which is we're busy all year round.
Basketball season seemed very, like, there's just games on random days, I remember.
Yeah, basketball season, they're mainly games on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Wednesdays, and we do men and women games.
Yeah, I remember. I was like...
Yeah, they were always helping me out. So during football season, or throughout the whole year, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we would have practice at 7:30, and obviously it ran from 7:30 to 9:30. But obviously, since we had class start at 9, I had to leave. So I would leave practice around 8:30 so I can get into my car, and then I would drive to the pharmacy building. And I remember the first couple weeks of school when me and Chris didn't know that we didn't have to dress business casual. I would change into a business casual outfit every day, remember?
It was a daily routine, y'all. We would like walk into the building. I'm like, all right, give me the water bottle, give me the backpack.
He would hold all my stuff for me while I changed. And I'm pretty sure people would look at me like, what the, that was the first couple of days. But then after that, I just stopped changing. I just stayed in my practice clothes for those days. And then for the most part in the fall semester, practice and stuff worked out because football games are on Saturdays. So I didn't have to allot a lot of time during the week for that. So after practice, we would go to class, we would have lunch, the usual. And the job that I had at the time, I just put in my 2 weeks actually, was a tutor at an elementary school. And it was for an after school program. So the program would run from, I think we were allowed to get there from 1:30 to 6:30. But most of the time I would just go when we got out of class, which kind of made me lose a lot of study time, especially since it was right after class. So the program ran from those times, 2:30 through when the kids got out of school. I think it was around 2:45 to 6:30 when the kids are getting picked up. And although I lived only 10 minutes away, by the time I got home, it was already like 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time I showered and ate dinner, it was already 8. So I feel like that took a lot of study time away from me. But I still managed to do it with the help of Christopher and Christy and Athena. But yeah, it was still manageable. On the weekends, I was still busy. I had games to do while still having to do rotations during some of the weeks.
I remember you would even be studying at the games, no?
Yeah, I would study like before the games, or like sometimes I know I had to miss a couple of basketball games because during the spring semester we had so many like IPPs, like we had rotations, we had tests, we had OSCEs, and during not football season, during basketball season, the games were on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I remember missing a lot of practice time. But I'm so grateful that my coach was lenient because they would send out the videos and I would learn the dances on my own.
That was super impressive.
Yeah, I would learn the dances. Sometimes there was one time that I learned the dance the day of the game and I was still able to perform because my coach was very flexible with me and she gave me that many opportunities to still perform and do what I loved, And also spring semester was also busy because we went to nationals. That was wild. Like we still had nationals practice and we ended up winning a national title. Everybody, woo! But I guess I'm just trying to say all this in my daily life. I would go to sleep also around 11, 12, and I wouldn't work out like Chris. Nobody come at me, but my workouts were going to practice and, trying my best. And I think what we want to come out of this episode is that as a P1 or as a pharmacy student, it's still okay to be involved. And you shouldn't shy away from being involved because it looks good on your resume, your CV,
And it can be an escape too. It's encouraged.
Yeah, it's also an escape.
I mean, I know some of the organizations held events like they would have like the social night at Rubik's or they would have movie nights here.
Or like game board night or just stuff to get social. And I know a lot of incoming students are scared that it'll jeopardize their studies, but I think what we want to come out of this is that it's okay to do what you love and it's okay to involve yourself in extracurriculars because it gives you an outlet and it's good to learn how to keep a schedule, how to be able to multitask, I think, right? And I think it's a good outlet. I think it just depends on how you organize your time because with Chris working and me working and still being able to be on the dance team and perform and have as many opportunities as I did, I think we were still able to make it through. But as the years get harder, you learn how to manage that time a little better. Like, yeah, you have to give up some things, but that doesn't mean you have to give up everything.
I don't remember during our orientation. I know we had a speaker that, I'm sorry that I forgot her name, but she's the one who kind of brought up that she did some project in Paris. And she was basically telling us, like, keep that work-life balance. Like, if you're too stressed, whatever it is that you love to do, whether it's some drawing or going to the gym or rock climbing, whatever the heck it is, give yourself time to do that because, you need that escape. Yeah,
I think you definitely do need that escape. And I remember my parents always telling me, and I'm talking about dance, but I really, really love to dance. And they'd be like, well, why are you doing it? Like, why are you still working? Why are you still in dance if you're just stressed all the time and you're like managing your time? But I feel like they just didn't understand that it was my escape. Maybe I was a little stressed but I enjoyed being there and I enjoyed being in the moment.
Right.
And enjoying the things that I liked.
Because I remember you were excited for like every dance that was coming up, or especially nationals. Like you were excited. You always showed us every dance that you guys were practicing.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that the school as well was very flexible with me. I told them my situation. I spoke to my teachers. I spoke to Miss Ramos in the front. They approved all my time off that I needed, and it was excused, and I had no issues.
All the instructors worked with you.
Yeah, all the instructors worked with me. I remember Dr. Navi asking for the video.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were all so supportive, and I think that's one thing that I really like about the pharmacy school that we're going to, is that it's very small, but it's a very supportive community, I would say.
For sure.
Yeah.
On the point of flexibility, how you said, because like the school is flexible, but in terms of just daily life for us, there's no cookie cutter.
Yeah.
So like what we're explaining, that's how we did our daily life. But I think the key is that you just have to have flexibility in your schedule and be ready to adapt.
Yeah, be ready to adapt. Have friends that are going to be there for you. Have a good family system. Even if you don't, you can make friends here at school. Don't be afraid to talk to P2s, P3s, P4s. Like, get that.
Yeah, we all get it. So we're here to help.
Yeah, like make those connections. And I think that's something that I wish I knew sooner, because I know a lot of friends that we've made that are in a grade level above us have helped us a lot and have guided us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's
like just some tips really quick. I think you're gonna try to find like a single way to study. There's no single way to study. It's gonna vary by the class.
And I think it's very individualized as well, depending on how you learn as a student.
But that can complement others. So we found out that like Athena's charts are really helpful. My mnemonics could be really helpful.
I have a really hard time remembering things, and what helps me is Chris tests me, and he won't move on from that topic until I answer his question correct.
Yeah, so like that's another method, test each other.
Yeah, and I think that helps us both, because I'm being tested and trying to remember, and while Chris is asking me, he's also remembering the information that he's asking me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he saved many of us on tests before, because the type of questions he asks, they end up asking it on the exam, and I'm like, Chris asked this right before.
Gotta think of everything.
Yes, he literally thinks of everything. So if you're to study with anybody, study with somebody like Chris.
But yeah, just be flexible.
Be optimistic.
To adapt, especially in rotations. Out of respect for the preceptors, you're working with their schedule.
Exactly.
They're not working with yours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's good to, like, for example, I think at the beginning of the semester they gave us a schedule, right? For like when you're scheduled to go.
Mm-hmm.
When they tell you reach out in advance, reach out so you can make changes as you need to.
Yeah, I would just say our biggest tips going into pharmacy school are being flexible, being optimistic, finding a good study group, a good friend group, and even if you don't, like, don't be afraid to reach out. What else?
And talk to those in your life that aren't in pharmacy school. It's going to be really hard to be spontaneous.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just talk to people, like I had to tell my friends, or if you're dating anyone, any family members, whatever, tell them, just like, let's say they want to plan a movie night or something. Mm-hmm. Just tell them, like, tell me a few days in advance so I can make sure I'm up to date on what I need to study, or, you know, I know it's coming up, rather than, oh, hey, we're doing this tonight. Move everything. Like, you can't drop everything.
Yeah, communication is key.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that was basically all the tips that we can give.
We hope we didn't scare you, but it's going to seem hard at first, but you'll get the hang of it.
And I think just giving you an insight into our daily routines will give you a little bit of hope that you can still do the things that you like while being in pharmacy school, and still being able to do good in pharmacy school. Like, life doesn't end in pharmacy school.
Right. And we're here. I mean, we're all in the same building. So if you see us, need any help, ask us questions. Say
hi. Me and Chris are very friendly, very goofy, very us. All right. I think that's all we have for today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We shall see y'all hopefully on the first day of school.
And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye, y'all. Do
bye.
a little cut.
A little cut.
No. Bye.
Bye.